and let us all do we can to build a better future. Now let's get started with our second segment. So on yesterday's show, we talked about how AOC was giving a warning to the Democrats, how they need to get their act together. Well, 24 hours after this response, corporate media responded to it, as well as the fact that there is a potential low turnout for younger voters to support Democrats during the midterm election cycle.
They told to shut up and stand aside and vote for Biden, and he'll give us everything, and then he gave us nothing except more war. People aren't enthused about that? What?
Yeah, there we go.
Right?
Let's play this first video. Shout out again to Case Study QB. Follow him on Twitter. Let's play it.
It's not just about an unwillingness perhaps to shift back towards the center. It's how to energize the progressives. And Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez came out with a big complaint in the last 24 hours. Greg, how do you think that shapes things?
Well, the thing is, Biden should realize, the Democrats should realize that the progressives have utterly failed on all of their agenda. No defund the police, no Medicare for all, no wealth tax. The list goes on and on of things they've sought that they failed on. So the idea that Biden should try to ingratiate himself with that faction of the party, to me, makes no sense. He's got to move to the center and stay in the center.
Greg, isn't that the problem with the party right now, is that most outsiders, commentators like yourself, would turn around and say, this is the situation. He was meant to go down the middle. He went too far to the left. He needs to come back to the middle. But within the party, you've got progressives that are saying he didn't go further.
First of all, Biden never moved to the left. Now, the thing is, they're kind of right about the progressive movement failing because, number one, progressives in the United States House and Senate have not ever once challenged the Biden-Harris administration or Democratic leadership. We got nothing. They compromised on everything, especially during the primary and the general election. Progressives got nothing. Progressives never challenged Biden or Harris. They never stood up when they were bowing over to the Senate parliamentarian. They never stepped up when Manchin and Sinema were getting more demands than all of them ever asked for. So the thing is, progressive failed right now. The reason why they are failing isn't because they managed to implement policies. No, they failed in doing that. The reason why they failed is because they did not use their power. They did not use their following. They did not even show their strengths to the Democratic Party. Because what did the progressive movement do? Especially those 15 congressmen and women who are on the Force the Vote petition, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren. Oh, what did they do? They fell in line with the Democratic Party and didn't do jack. Force the vote for Medicare for all, force the vote for 15, March for Medicare for all, the General Strike Summit, and so much more. The executive orders that Biden can pass. They didn't do anything. That's why they're failing, not because Biden's to the left. The Democratic Party has been at the center since day one, and now every single voter, progressives and independents, are realizing, oh, nothing fundamentally changed, and Biden cannot be pushed anywhere because he's not going to do jack. Let's play the rest of the video if we can.
Further enough to the left. They're not on the same page at all, are they? Now, when you compare them to the Republicans, yes, there is a fringe group in the Republicans that a lot of people do not like, Greg, and they're taking the party in the wrong direction, especially for Republicans who have been members of that party for a long, long time. But, Greg, do you sense they're on the same page in a way that the Democrats just won't be when we get to the end of this year?
No, I don't. It's a really good point, John. I think that the biggest risk for the Republicans is that they overplay their hand on issue after issue, gay rights, abortion, a wide range of things. And then we see more and more scandals erupting around Trump. So I think that the biggest enemy for the Republicans is themselves. That could be self-inflicted wounds.
Okay.
By the way,
you could technically say that about
notice he doesn't say about the Republicans they should move more to the center.
Yeah. Now, the thing is, because I want to make sure that Kira has plenty of time to cover for her next story, I just want to we're not going to play the other videos. You can find those links in the show notes in the description box below. But there's been further, again, blowout by AOC making a statement, to which I have to say, look, I know we have our criticisms about AOC, but she is right. The Democrats are walking into disaster. But AOC, you had the power and the following, the online presence to actually push back. And the fact that you had all these keys, the fact that you have millions of followers, the fact that you have a social media presence, the fact that you won in 2018 with such a remarkable win at that time. It was a fantastic win. A lot of people thought like, oh, this is the change. And since then, what have we seen? AOC compromise, pull back, fall in line with Democratic leadership, cry when Nancy Pelosi was wagging her finger at her, changing her no vote to a present vote, which she called out Tulsi Gabbard on, which I find ironic. And then, on top of that, too, let's look at all these Democratic lawmakers. Now they're kind of, and I brought this up on yesterday's live stream, now they're talking about, reintroducing Medicare for all. Where was this passion, this art, this fight way back in January of 2021 when Jimmy Dore, Cornel West, Justin Jackson, Breonna Joy Gray, and so many others did their Force to Vote for Medicare for All town hall when those 15 congressmen and women were on the Force to Vote petition? Where were they? AOC, you were on that, but when you were needed, you said this is violence, and you ignored the movement. You ignored the call. You ignored the fight for Force to Vote for 15, which was Cenk Uygur's thing, which, hey, I'm going to be consistent. Hey, Force to Vote? Okay, Cenk, show us what Jimmy Dore got wrong, and the Democrats crapped on that.
Yep.
And then the March for Medicare for All, where were you? And then also the 3-day General Strike Summit meeting that was hosted by Revolutionary Blackout Network. I mean, let's be clear here. AOC, yes, your warning is correct. But who are you trying to sell it to?
You know who she's selling it to? We know who she's selling it to. She's running for re-election. That's what I was saying on was yesterday's show. Is that right now, politicians' number one job is to get reelected.
Yep. So
right now we're getting into midterms. The Democrats know it's going to be a slaughter. They're trying to make sure they don't lose their reelection. And so what do? They run right back to populism. The second that they're trying to communicate with regular people like us, all of a sudden they say the things that they think we want to hear, which in many cases they are. But we know it's hollow. We know it's hollow because it's always been hollow. The second that the election's done, so like AOC. You know what AOC also didn't do? When she was running for election, she went on independent media because mainstream media wouldn't have her. And she went on Jimmy Dore's show a huge amount of times.
Yep.
In fact, I think he was the first person to actually interview her.
Yep.
But then what happens the second that she gets elected? Never goes back on independent media again. Calls the person who she betrayed violent for speaking words, which is a bit ironic, especially since the Oscars a little more illustrated in there of what what this actually looks like. AOC is just playing the game right now.
Yeah.
That's it. There's nothing behind it. There's nothing in front of it. There's nothing to the left. There's nothing to the right. There's nothing on top. There's nothing below. She's playing the game. Because I'll tell you, if midterms were a year later, we would not be hearing this for a year.
No, we wouldn't. And it's rather insulting to a lot of people that have fought hard for progressives to get into Congress. But at this point, Roger Meadows, you're right. Abolish all political parties, man.
By the way, one last thing. If AOC did happen to lose her reelection, you know what we would lose? One of the more conservative Democratic lawmakers.
Based on what?
Her voting record.
On her voting record? Yeah, I know that she votes in line with the Democratic Party.
She's on I think she's
a large amount.
I think if 100 is the most liberal and 1 is the most conservative, I think she's at a 40.
Daniel,
I know she's more conservative than the average Democrat.
I'll have to find that website again that I found years ago where it plots every legislator on a grid from left to right.
Yeah.
And their voting record. And at that point in time, she pretty much voted lockstep with, Democratic Party votes. Yeah.
Daniel, I gotta say that comment right there is like a Rogel Dorn punch to the nose. No, that was sometimes, my friend Rogel, goddammit, tell a lie.
I think what's really painful about watching clips like that, just in general, is, not really the news itself, because I think we're all clear that Democrats are not going to do great in the midterm elections. They have nothing to run on other than, be afraid, which is going to get old again. But just that they paint this picture of that Biden is a progressive or is in any way left himself. If it was actually Biden's agenda, like they were pretending it was, he would have fought in some way to make it happen. I mean, they were an eyelash away from making it happen. And it was just every single obstacle that they could point to that was there, they pointed to and pretended as if it was the largest possible obstacle. So it was all theater. We all knew it was theater all along. But what the real bummer about all of this is people who don't recognize this theater, even people who think they're paying really close attention, if they don't recognize this as theater, what they're going to hear is basically that like, oh, like progressivism doesn't work. Right? Nobody wants it. So obviously, like, if everybody is against it, there's something wrong, fundamentally wrong with it. And it's just, and that's what it creates. And that's detrimental.
Like the most powerful time that Democrats have ever existed was when progressivism was actually utilized. That was the 40s to the 60s. Now, it wasn't progressive for everyone.
No, you're very clear. Yeah.
But that period was the golden age of America, and they're acting like that now. They're literally making the part like no one wants Medicare for all. They've literally gotten people so convinced that the thing that they want, no one else wants, even though everyone wants the thing.
Right.
And it's it's like the problem isn't that progressivism is bad; it's that there are no champions in power for it. Mm-hmm. Like we lament all the time. It's like, why do we have to keep referring to Tulsi Gabbard when it comes to war? Because there's just that few people out there that are like, maybe we shouldn't go to war. Yeah. That literally we have to go to the person that's not even in Congress to make that point. That when we're talking about and then it's just like the AOC. She knows how to sound good. She knows how to raise money. She's literally the successor to Nancy Pelosi in real time. She has all the same skill sets that Nancy does. Talks well to the base that they got elected, makes everyone think that she's doing everything for them, does little things for the local district, and is really good at raising money.
Yeah, there we go. That's this.
All she needs is something equivalent to ice cream, and we're done.
There we go. Oh yeah, I wonder what her snack will be. So we'll figure that out someday.